So if you went out and asked people how they feel about the economy, you're probably not going to get the most positive outlook. Why? Because there's so much uncertainty to where this country is headed. You have an election that's coming up soon. A lot of people are stressed about that. A lot of people are stressed about the state of the economy in terms of like inflation, the cost of living, everything just being so expensive, and we have a debt problem in this country. So many people are struggling with are worried about where this country is going. And it doesn't help that you got a bunch of idiots that are running this country, and you feel like there's nothing you can do about it, right? And if you're someone that's watching this video, you're probably someone that's maybe living paycheck to paycheck, or maybe you have a bunch of debt, or maybe you're working at a job you don't like, or maybe you don't feel like you're accomplishing anything when it comes to your life. And then you put all that together, it creates this stress that's hard to shake. And I get it. And the reason why I'm creating this video is because why it's time to get your finances ordered, because that's something you can control. All that other stuff, yes, obviously those things are out of your control, and a lot of times we get stressed out with the things that we can't control, right, instead of focusing on the things that we can control. And right in this video, I just want to make sure that help people understand that, like, why it is time to get your finances ordered, because like I said, that is something you can control. And I get it, because I can relate, because I remember the times that I had a whole bunch of debt, right? And it felt like, all right, you go to work, and then the money comes in, you pay off your debt, and then by the end of the day, you don't have any money left, right? And I remember even in 2008, when I was, when they had the crisis, where I couldn't find a job, right? It was just, it just felt like, all right, what am I doing? Like, how do I get out of this cycle of like stress? Like, I can't, like, it's struggling living paycheck to paycheck, finding money, and then you finally get a job, and then you find yourself quitting jobs, and it's like you get to a point where it's like, all right, Ralph, what are you doing? Like, it's time to like get your finances, or it's time to get your life in order. And it sometimes takes time to figure out, and sometimes it takes this awakening to say, all right, you know what, Ralph, it's time to get things in order when it comes to your finances. And eventually I got to that, and started figuring things out, and then making sure how to get my money in order, how to manage my money, make sure that I'm not accumulating more debt, how to make sure I'm spending within my means, and then eventually starting a business that eventually gets me to a point where I can eventually like retire myself from the 9-to-5 life. So if you're someone that's looking to obviously get your finances in order, the first thing, like if you're someone that plans on doing that, you first have to know where your money's going, right? That's the most important thing. There's so many people that live in, that are struggling with their money, and they just have no idea where their money is going. All they know is that when they look at their bank account, there's nothing there, right? By the time the end of the month, they're like, yo, I have no money to do anything else that I want. And that's because you just don't have your finances organized. You don't know where it's going. You don't know what's coming in. You don't know what's going out. So that's the first thing you want to do. The first thing you want to do is make sure you sit down and say, all right, I got to create a quick little budget. And I know this is boring. Like, nobody wants to do it. It's a tedious thing, right? To sit down and say, all right, let me get this budget and put all my finances. No one wants to do that, because like I said, it's a tedious work, and it's just annoying. But if you're going to get your finances in order, you need to this is the first thing you need to do. You need to see what what it looks like on paper. So create a budget, right? Sit down, create a budget, like list all your income that's coming in, your job, whatever it is, whatever sources of income you got going in, and then also list all the expenses, right? You need to know where your money, what's coming out, and then once you do that, all you have to figure out is like whether you have a spending problem or you have an income problem, right? And that's the easy thing. Like, if you have a spending problem, then obviously all you gotta do is stop spending, right? And reduce your expenses. Two, and if you don't have a spending problem, maybe it's an income problem, then all you have to do is figure out how to create more income. Whether you get a second job, or maybe you develop more skills. So if you're working multiple jobs, you can then turn those skills into just one job where you're making good money. Or maybe you're just tired of the whole 9-to-5 job and you want to just start a business, right? These are things that you can do once you figure out like what your issue is, whether you have a spending problem or an income problem. These are the options that you have. And I think that's important to really understand, because like it's important to see these things, because these are the things that you can control, whether you have that spending problem or whether you have an income problem. These are the things that you can control. And then once you have that budget, the thing you want to do is say, all right, the next thing you want to do is like, all right, you have to ask yourself, like, what do you want out of life, right? What is it you want out of life, and then what is it going to take to get what you want? Right, and once you do that, you figure out, all right, maybe it's you've gotten to a point where you want to leave the 9-to-5 job, or maybe you want to get a higher paying job. Like these are things that once you figure it out, you know what to do. Like say you want to get a higher paying job, that means you have to develop more skills, whatever skills that you need to do in order to get that high paying job. Or maybe, like I said, if you want to leave that 9-to-5 job, then obviously you have to develop some skills and then start a business on the side while you're working your other jobs. Because I wouldn't recommend, if you're looking to, start a business, leave your other jobs, right? Even though that was something I eventually did. Well, not somewhat. I've done it before, but eventually I was working a kickboxing job and then I was working my side business on the side. And eventually it got to a point where I was making enough money where I can leave that job. And that's what I would recommend for a lot of people to do that, right? Work your regular job, make your money, make sure obviously you gotta do what you gotta do there, and then do something on the side. Because look at you don't want to get to a point where if you're someone that's quitting jobs, you want to just keep quitting jobs. Or if you're working at a job that's not bringing you any fulfillment, what's the point of doing that? Like you're not getting any joy of that. You're not getting fulfillment. You want to make sure you're working on something that's purposeful, right? Even if you're working your full-time job and then you're working that side business, at least you're working on something. This will give you a lot of purpose, like a little project to work on. Right. And like I said, it's not going to be easy, but at least it's something that's you can work on and say, let me see where this goes, where I can develop and bring purpose to my life. Because there's no better feeling than working on a little side business that you can hopefully, with the goal of replacing that full-time job where you no longer have to be a slave to the clock and then work for somebody else. Right, because that's the ultimate freedom. Be able to control your finances, to take back control when it comes to where your money's going, how much money you make. You can dictate how much money that you make. You don't have to rely on a 3% raise every year, and then of course inflation is going to probably be more than that. And you're still stuck in that hamster wheel, right? Having that freedom to take control over your finances and dictate what you want to do and where you go with life is the ultimate freedom. Right? And I think every man should be out there trying to strive for that. Okay? And how do you do that, right? The first thing, and in order to get there, you got to make sure you're cutting out all distractions. And this is the hardest part. Even I still struggle with this today. In order to get to that point, you have to cut out all the distractions, right? And it's football season right now, so that's going to be a lot of distractions. Watching football games and watching sports. These are distractions, right? And I'm not saying cut out cold turkey. Yeah, maybe watch your team, but you have to get to a point where you have to free up your time. And it's going to be very difficult to do that. You're going to have to watch less TV. You're going to have to play less video games. You're going to have to go out. You can't be going out every weekend. So you're going to have to really get to a point where you have to find time to focus on the things that matter. Okay, and it's very hard. You're gonna have to say no to a lot of things, whether it's family functions or hanging out with friends. This is the most difficult thing. But if you expect to change your life, you're gonna have to do things that are very difficult, right? If you're gonna change, the first change is gonna have to start with you, and that's the hardest thing for a lot of people. And like I said, even now I still struggle with that. But I every day I'm challenging myself to be disciplined. To make sure I say, all right, Ralph, you got to focus. You got to use this block of time to focus on building your business, building on whatever it is that you need that's going to help you get to the next level. And like I said, you got to cut out all the distractions and make sure that you stay focused on what's important. Because like I said, you got people in control of this country that are going to do the dumbest things, that they're going to do things that you cannot control when it comes to running our debt. And they're just going to make things worse and make it harder for you to buy a home, buy groceries, right? To really get your finances in order. And if you're relying on a regular job or that's not paying you enough, it's going to be very difficult. And instead of just, sulking and feeling bad about yourself, you have to start taking control and start saying, all right, what are the things I can control to help improve my finances, right? Like I said, making sure you get out of debt, increasing your income, developing more skills so you can make more money. These are the things that you can control. Will it be difficult? Of course, but these are the things that you can control. And at least with that sense of control, you have an idea of like where you're going in life, right? You can see things starting to be accomplished. You can say, all right, you know what steps to take in order to get to the next level, instead of just sitting there and just waiting for things to happen. Because if you're going to wait for things to happen, it's only probably going to get worse. We don't know how bad things are going to get, especially with this economy. And I don't want to wait and see. I don't want to wait and see how bad it gets. I want to make sure I can put myself get myself in a situation where if it does get bad, I'm prepared and I'm not, a slave to the lender where my money's going to somebody else instead of coming to me, helping me build my wealth. So these are the things that you got to do and continue to, be disciplined. Like I said, it's very difficult, but if you're disciplined, you can figure it out. right? Because like, look at this is what we have to do. We have to figure out. There's no one's gonna figure it out for us. Especially as men, you got to figure it out yourself, right? So those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care. Have a good one. Later.